doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it. Honk. I don't know where that came from. You the shield maiden.
Welcome to Gauge for Glory,
The podcast where we attempt to become master hand knitters.
I'm Leslie.
I'm Rachel, and this week we define glory as...
We're really doing this thing.
This is just too exciting. It's too exciting. How's it going?
I am fully here in my finished cardigan.
Wait, snaps. That's what
Yeah,
the kids are doing
yeah. I got my little sparkly buttons. This is the
Beautiful.
baseline cardigan with fibrous hopper DK, and I love it.
Can I touch it?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. It's lovely.
I mean, it doesn't smell bad either. So
You haven't worn enough yet. Yeah, it looks lovely.
Yeah. So, and I'm working on Rift today. Jacqueline Cieslak. I'm sorry, but last names are hard for me.
Everybody.
And so, yeah, using Little Fox Willow.
I love Little Fox.
Yeah.
They're
what about you?
Local to us dyer. This is Salty Days. We are nearly there. I'm at this very, very long section of ribbing that will never end. It has to end eventually, right? It has to end eventually.
Sure.
This is Plain Air, which is a 50-50, or it's a 67% wool, 23% cotton blend.
Okay.
From Pearl Soho. And I am wearing a cardigan from Kudo Vakiko's first book, which I forgot the name of, but I will put on the screen here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
You're like a vision in green. I'm glad you got the green memo today.
Yeah, I'm going for it, right? Yeah, but you want to know the funny thing is I was knitting in our last episode of the podcast, was knitting this sweater. However, it wasn't this sweater. I was knitting it as a different Kudo Vakiko pattern, Coffee Run. And I got it to about here. And I was like, oh my God, this yarn does not want to be Coffee Run. It wants to be something else. So
This is your like Project Runway moment.
yeah.
It's like, I'm channeling my Tim Gunn. And no tea, no shade to Tim Gunn, because he wore, I'll never forget, one episode. I actually think it was the Thunder from Down Under episode. Like, not even gonna lie, this is how much this stayed with me, is he wore a knitted tie.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was such a lovely, like, he's in his suit and he's wearing this like striped, like navy and red striped tie.
Beautiful.
And I was just like, this is the man who I want to become when I'm older. Just sort of like the suit, the dapper, the tie. It's
The
all
knitted
It's
tie.
the knitted tie. It's all together. So
Very
yeah, so you're having your Project Runway moment.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure the last
letting
time...
the fabric choose the garment.
Yeah, and when I told my sister that, she's like, you've been spending too much time with yarn if you're talking to it, and it's talking back. So I've been to tell me. So anyways, I frogged it.
Sounds like your sister doesn't understand. She'll have a talk.
She's learning. No, she's super supportive. This is actually for her. So I thought it was a very apropos that this yarn decided to be hers instead. Yeah, so that's what I'm working on today.
Nice.
It's been a couple weeks since we actually got a chance to film. Had a few pretty eventful things going on.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about the retreat?
Retreat was great. Had a lovely time. I finished this and in the final hours before. And it's just nice to be all together with people who, we all enjoy knitting. It's a pretty, like I said, it's a pretty diverse group in terms of age, in terms of background. There's just it'll mix a lot of different folks. And so it's just kind of nice to be able to get all together, have a bit of a laugh, bit of fun. We had Bristol Ivy as our instructor.
Oh.
She was fantastic.
Yeah.
So she did a lecture on Friday night on pie shawls. Did a class.
That was inspiring. Had you known much about pie shawls before?
The first shawl I ever knit was a pie shawl. I
purpose?
didn't know it at the time. Okay, how dare you? But also, you're right.
Math. The math. So when you knit that, did you have to do any calculations, or did the pattern lay that out for you?
Oh, the pattern did everything for me because
Okay.
I was just a baby. But
Well,
I was just a baby.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. And it's actually kind of a cool shawl.
Yeah, can you give us just like a brief overview of what a pie shawl is?
Oh yeah, so pie shawl is a circular shawl.
That's made out of apple pie.
That's not what Bristol Ivy said.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's based on the mathematical principle of pi, which is not as maybe good as apple pie when you're hungry. But
you know, wheels are pretty cool.
Wheels are great. We love a wheel.
We love a wheel.
We love a symmetrical circle in many different applications.
My favorite types of needles are a circle.
True. And so you do the increases based on that math. So this is pioneered really by Elizabeth Zimmerman in the way back when, and it's taken on new life in many different iterations since then. And
I thought she did a great job explaining it, especially as somebody who's never had any experience with pie shaws. I felt like I actually went through, I think right after it was over, and put one in one of the ones that she used in her example in my queue for Ravelry. So.
Nice.
Yeah, that was it. So that was Friday.
I took notes.
Why am I not surprised? I did too, I think. I was also just kind of taking a break because I did most of the emceeing for the did you like my jokes? So I emceed the event, and I decided there were a lot of little snippets where I was mostly introducing other people. There wasn't like a whole lot of work that I had to do myself, but I was doing a lot of introduction, and I was the hype girl. And I decided I would start every bit with a joke. How do you think that landed? Not as well as I thought.
You did a great job.
I did a great job.
You did a great job. We're not going to really talk about the jokes.
You didn't like them?
You want to give a sample of
Oh gosh, yeah. Let me think of my favorite. Oh man, did you see all the cops that were on the road on the way down there when we were driving down there?
I must have missed them.
Oh, strange. I saw a bunch. In fact, I had to do a little bit of knitting while I was driving. Wild. The cop was just like, pull over. And I said, no, it's a sweater. That one was my favorite, honestly.
Yeah. It was very funny because that one in particular, there were a couple people who were sort of like half paying attention. Like they were focused on their knitting. So it took them like a beat longer than some others to get it. So there was like an initial groan, and then there was like a secondary like groan in the room.
Echo groan. That's what I'm after, man. So so maybe don't quit my day job to go be a comedian.
Just need to work on everything takes practice. You just need to work on your material. Everybody's
that's
lucky
not
that
the thing I want to
a master hand knitting situation, and
not jokes for days. Yeah, exactly. That's not what I am interested in doing that's not what I'm interested in practicing.
Yeah.
But so there were a couple more classes on Saturday.
Yeah, bind offs.
Mm-hmm.
We actually both did the sweater fit class on Sunday morning.
Yeah, fit that knit.
Oh, it was so good. We basically measured every inch, it felt like, of our bodies.
Yeah, it was like every bendy spot.
Yeah.
Anybody could have a crease. But I felt like it was pretty enlightening, and I think it'll really help me. It'll help me be able to choose a pattern size that's gonna fit my body better.
Yeah.
What was your key takeaway?
The key takeaway was it helped me understand why I choose the size I do. I always thought it was because I didn't like as much ease. So it helped me switch my thinking about how I choose a size, because I always thought, if I do this size, it will fit my full bust, but I don't want as much ease, so I'm going to like do like one down, right? And this actually helped me realize that based on my proportions, I'm choosing my size based on my upper bust. It's not that I don't like ease. It's just that based on that, I need to choose a size that's fitting my upper bust. And then with the regular correct amount of ease. And that's actually what's going to fit me better. So it sort of was like, I just was kind of doing the quick math, and this actually made me think about it and actually work through it. And like, the decision I'm actually making is this.
Yeah, I liked using upper bust if you're larger in that department. It was a great way to learn that. But also I appreciated the way that she walked us through how individual sizes translate to the schematic on a knitting pattern.
Oh,
so
yeah.
if you ever get a chance to take her class, Bristol, we're very grateful that she was able to come with us. I think she's actually going to be in Alexandria.
Oh.
I saw Fiber Space had her on her newsletter for
Okay.
coming up in the next few months. So
Yeah.
if you're in DC, maybe you get a check. Anything else from the retreat?
The Saturday night speaker is pretty great, if I do say so myself.
Oh gosh. Okay. Yes, I do agree. And now we got some true guffaws, not just some groans there. So Leslie was our keynote speaker for Saturday. And can you tell us what your topic was?
Yeah, I really leaned into my role as a professor of fiberology and done a lot of research. And my argument was, and I stand by it, is that acrylic is a superior fiber. And I really leaned into the premise, and I delivered, I feel like. Yeah. And I want you to know that the most important thing to remember about acrylic and what makes it amazing is that it is engineered, not sheared. Okay? All right? So wool, a little overrated. Mohair, kind of clingy. Cashmere, a passing fad. But acrylic, it's eternal, everyone. No, it's literally eternal. I just hope you, yes, it's actually not going anywhere ever. And when Bristol Ivy mentioned cockroaches and Twinkies, I would also argue that acrylic yarn will be among that number. I feel like I delivered.
Yeah, that was it was hilarious. Definitely 5 stars, many snaps.
So yeah, and there too, I knew I had to kind of work up to it. I had a couple of non-believers at the beginning, but I think
that's right.
Yeah, and there were some who were like,
some minds,
what is even happening?
So yeah, if you didn't catch on to it, Leslie did a Knit X style TED Talk about why acrylic is superior, including reasons like
well, I mean, engineered, not sheared. That's the future. That's,
engineered,
obviously.
not sheared, ladies and gentlemen. You gotta remember that. Gotta remember that.
Big Wool has been lying to you.
Don't let the big wool propaganda get to you. Because we want the thing that's gonna last as long as Twinkies to be next to our skin always.
Yes. Hey, look. In terms of softness, it probably does. Beat wool in some arenas.
Some wool, especially. Some wool.
Yeah,
definitely. Which is why we'll talk about fiber sometime coming up and why that is, right?
Why not? I'm an expert.
Okay, so we alluded to it in the beginning of the show, but what's your big news from our MHK update?
I have the packet. I'm ready to go. I did. So, okay, real talk. So Chuck, one of our friends, we'll have him on the pod eventually. He agreed. But
you can't take it back, Chuck.
Yeah, you can't. It's out in the world now. But yeah, I actually saw him. We did a fundraiser with Laura Nelkin's group, Knit for Food. We ended up going well over our goal. Our local goal was, I think, $2,000. We ended up raising over $3,000, so we were really excited about that. And the project overall came in way above it's the goal from last year. So we ended up, as a knitting community, raising $530,000. And it was really nice to be a part of it. And we had it at a local yarn shop. And kind of funny too is thank you to everyone who has mentioned the podcast to me out in the world. For those who, even those who did not know me, I appreciate you coming up and saying hello. So if you see me around, by all means, come say hi. I want to hear about what you're doing, what you're knitting. Check it out. So please, by all means, that was really nice. But I happened to see Chuck there, and he kind of sat me down. He was like, "Stop," in a very gentle way, because he's got a very calm demeanor, very composed, and just like very gently was like, "Hey, so I noticed that you are a chaos demon." And I noticed.
Were you able to keep a straight face?
He didn't actually use those words. So
Yeah.
I was paraphrasing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you know, he basically like kind of just was like, "Oh, you are all over the show," and I was like, "Really? Is it that noticeable?" I guess it is.
Vote now on your phones.
Yeah. He said, "Nice. You seem very relaxed about the whole thing." And I said, "Yeah, is it that noticeable?" But anyway, so he just kind of told me, he's like, they look at all of the details of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, read everything, really, Leslie, pay attention to detail.
Did that just make you cringe? I think you're word detail oriented.
I am word detail oriented. I am not math detail oriented.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna lie, I love a shortcut every once in a while. But part of doing this is to force myself to not do the shortcuts and to really like do it the proper way.
I think that was pretty kind of him to kind of step in because it's good to have that view. I also want to say I think this is a good time too. We've gotten a lot of tips from other knitters, especially ones who have either gone through the Master Hand Knitter program or are going through it. So thank you so much for those. The number one tip of the week that I was going to give based off of the feedback we've had is read the packet, which is what I think we've done now. Yeah.
I'm going to go still. Okay, so this was my promise to Chuck because he's right. Chuck is not wrong. So my sort of pledge to Chuck, and I'm making a public commitment here, is that I will not only read, but I plan to, because I am more word oriented, I plan to go through and actually like make notes and kind of recopy all of the salient things that I need to remember to help me retain it, but also then to help translate it into what I'm doing. So I actually really valuable advice, and Chuck was very kind. He did not say anything negative at all. But I just felt slightly attacked because he basically saw who I was. I was like, okay. And he has done it before. I think that's the other piece that I should mention, is that he's speaking from experience.
Yeah, Chuck is a professional hand knitter. So he went through the other course that TKGA offers. And I think he did the first level of the Masters.
He did.
Hand knitting course. So
yeah. Super accomplished.
Yeah.
Knitter. So
taught me brioche.
Taught me mosaic knitting.
Hey.
Yeah.
See?
It's just
Chuck.
What a gem. What are your updates?
Well,
so much paper.
Well, I think you forgot your big update though.
Oh.
2 things you did to get 2 steps. You took the first 2 steps.
I got the packet.
Uh-huh.
And I set up a dashboard.
Hey! I read and highlighted the packet, and I set up my swatches sheets, which I'll show on the computer because that'll be easier. I'm ready to do the binders if you're ready.
I'm not, but I'll watch you do it.
Great. So fun.
I should say, when I've done the dashboard, this is the other thing I'll note, is that I did it through an open source program, note-taking program called Obsidian. It's what I use for writing. So I basically created swatch templates in it. I created some front matter that basically is like data that will help me put it in a table that I can just track based on what I put in the document. So I've set it up so that it will kind of like keep track of everything for me as long as I'm inputting the data. So I have sort of set myself up in sort of an organized way, inspired by you and Chuck. So my hope is that because I've done that, that will make me more likely to follow through with that organization.
Absolutely. And I'll, once I get the binder together, I can walk folks through it with the overhead cam. I just wanted to show you. So basically what I did is every swatch has a swatch information sheet. And so you have to do references for things like casting on, how to do knit to, purl to, ribbing, how to do garter stitch, how to do long tail cast on. all of these things. Oh, I said casting on twice. Okay, well, I was gonna have to fix that anyways.
Yeah, get a pen. Mark it out. Mark it down.
Yeah. Anyways,
This is why we edit and review.
Exactly. Yeah, just great to find out right on camera. So you have to do this. So what I did is I started going through. I remember. I think in the first episode we talked about some of the other podcasters who have talked about the Master Hand Knitter program, and one woman said that she dove right into the knitting and didn't do the research as much as she should have. So I took that to heart. Thank you.
It's good. It's a good tip.
I took that one to heart a lot, and so I thought what I'd do is I'd go through, I'd find the references, make sure I knew the technique, and then that way I can go to my binder and go review the references that I've referenced to make sure I'm doing the technique right before I do that swatch.
Yeah, it's great.
But for me, that kind of double learning is really how I learn something for like long term.
Yeah.
Do you have a process like that or anything?
I process, like I said, I process things better through writing. So I think it will be helpful for me to do the writing first as well, just because that's how I'm oriented. And I think from there, I'll have a path forward.
Yeah.
And I'm going to kind of see if I want to do it per swatch or if I want to do it and then kind of revisit what well, maybe both. We don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's, for me, I felt good about doing the references first because a lot of them were, I did use book references. You can use internet references, but there's some stipulations about the length of videos you can use and whatnot. So I went with, and that Vogue knitting book that I got really had so many techniques that I was able to reference. And then now I'm looking at some of the questions that you'll go to after you do the swatches. And I think there's some of them that I am able to do as we're going along. I think it's going to be much better if we're doing that as we go along than if we wait till the end and then go back and try to do the questions.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
The other thing I did was my blocking report.
Look at you.
Do you want to guess how many words I wrote?
I'm going to say
max it was supposed to be between, I think, like 1,500 and 2,000.
I would say, I was going to guess 2,500.
I wrote 2,007 words.
In my first draft. Price is Right.
Hey, I know. That would be pretty close. Yeah, I didn't know that there was that much to say about how to block knits. I think some of the key things I learned, I learned a few different ways to do blocking. I didn't know much about steam blocking, which is something I learned about, which is definitely not for acrylics.
Yeah, you can't really block acrylics.
I did not. Yeah, definitely not for acrylics.
Acrylics said no.
Pretty sure important not to touch the iron. Yep, and not to use for acrylic fibers. So definitely don't do that. I think the other thing I really learned about was blocking lace and blocking cables that you would normally have the part that is in pattern, so the lace or the cable, especially for the lace, where you would kind of use two sets of blocking pins, and I can give an example of that when we do it. So that was interesting to learn for me. But yeah, overall 2,007 words. So I got to cut 7 words out of somewhere. maybe my intro, blocking. It's a process that can instill fear into the heart of knitters.
This is fluff. Look at that fluff. Get rid of it.
7 words.
7 words. You don't need it.
Gone. It's funny though. But it is, I think it's funny how people talk about blocking. Have you heard people lament about blocking?
It's interesting. It's not as divisive as swatching.
True.
People are like, I don't need to swatch. And some people are like, oh, if you don't swatch, the devil will eat your baby. But, I think.
Or worse, your sweater.
Right. Your sweater won't fit. And you'll be cursed for all your days. And so, yeah. But blocking seems like some people love it. Some people could take it or leave it. Some people just don't do it. And then what's interesting to me is I actually took a class and we were talking about practical blocking, which is different from like this kind of blocking.
What is practical blocking?
So Kim McBrien Evans has a really great class, sweater seaming class, and we talked about blocking, and we talked about practical blocking and what she does to actually block things. And it really was the barriers that she's removed to make sure that she's blocking things, but in a way that's realistic for her. And so we just kind of talked through strategies that you can use to actually block things without making yourself crazy. So highly recommend doing a class with her. I know she does like webinars and stuff like that, but she talks at length about that. And so that would work for like your everyday. In fact, that's how I blocked this, but it's not going to work for the level of blockage you need here, the precision that you're going to need for this.
So at this point, neither one of us has cast on for the preliminary swatch yet, which is, I think, for me, that's probably the next step that I'm going to be ready to do. But I want to wait, and honestly, out there, tell us if you're interested in, we were thinking about doing a cast on party for our preliminary swatches. Maybe a little silly, but I thought it would be fun. Yeah. If that's something that you're interested in, please put a note in the comments and we could consider doing some sort of live event. So let us know.
Yeah. And I also need your help because I don't know what yarn to buy for it. It has to be, and this is just because there's so many good options that I'm sort of torn. So the kind of the deal is they use Knit Picks Wool of the Andes for some of their photo examples that they give us. But, you know, like I know people use Cascade 220. I think that's what you were using.
From the Facebook group. So if you don't know, there is a Master Hand Knitters Facebook group. I know you're not super into Facebook, but you know, you might consider. I'll give you. I'll spill the tea then from this Facebook group. The number one yarn that's recommended in there has been Cascade 220, not the superwash. So I didn't realize when I was doing the basics course that there was a difference between the 220 and the 220 superwash, and it's actually a different weight. The superwash is a DK.
Yes, I did know that.
Did you know
actually.
that? Yeah.
Libby.
Yep, that's who told me.
Yeah, Libby told me.
As I'm over here telling my class, yes, use any of these worsted weight yarns, and she's like, "Can I talk to you?" And Libby's she's one of the purveyors at our local yarn store, and she's like, Cascade superwash, not worsted. I was like, okay, cool. Should have looked that up.
Yeah. She told me when I was looking for yarn we had to. We did charity knitting. Everybody for their treat needed to bring at least one square that they are now joining into blankets for charity. And
I think they're going to have 7 or 8 blankets.
That's awesome.
They're donating to Navy Marine Corps Relief Society.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and they're going to look cool too. The way they're the way they're arranging them, they're going to look really neat. But, everybody had to knit, with DK yarn for that. And so I may have, fun fact, I may have finished that 2 minutes before registration opened.
Well, that pocket wasn't going to attach itself to your sweater.
I had to finish I had to finish the cardigan.
I had to get the cardigan finished. Yeah, so I think maybe in our next episode we'll talk about some different options for yarn and see what you pick. I'm going to go with the Cascade because that's what I used.
Yeah.
I used that for my basics course, and I liked it a lot. It gave me a good definition. Just, I think, be careful about superwash. They recommend not using a superwash. Right. It's got to be 100%. Well, they recommend 100% wool unless you have like an allergy or an aversion, and which you can use other types of fibers, but you got to remember they don't always block as well. They're not as forgiving. Your niche stitches have to be even higher quality. Not that you're not already at this level, but that's why I was going to use the Cascade 220.
Yeah. You know, and so yeah, I'm kind of, do I do Wool of the Andes? Do I do Cascade 220? There's also, I really am attracted to, and I don't know if this is a passing phase or not, but I really like the Kelborn woolens stuff. Like, that's really nice. I've been seeing that everywhere. So I was kind of like, they have the right, like Germantown is a worsted.
Oh yeah.
Non-superwash. I was like, so many choices. So I need y'all to tell me what I should do. So somebody help me. Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
That's great.
And I think I know we were talking about colors.
Yeah.
I think I'm just going to try for like a natural kind of color. I don't wear a lot of that. So I think if I end up hating it, it's okay. Like,
Why does that happen? I feel like that a lot. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, I hate this yarn. I even did it with this sweater, even though I have this bag, basically the same color, and I love my. See,
it's giving teal.
I don't know. I love it now. I love it much more in this textured sweater than I did in just like a plain stockinette. I think maybe just the cotton content and like my stitches were maybe just not even enough, but I don't know why that happens. By the time I get to the end of the sweater, I'm like, ugh.
If I have to look at this anymore.
I know. I've actually had to put sweaters, like block them and then put them in the front room for a while just so that I give them like a few days. I put them in timeout, like a good timeout, because I'm like, oh, I think maybe I just look at it too much. I'm not sure. We'll have to consider that sometime for a future episode. Yeah. So I mean, that was all I had to cover today. I think in the next couple, let us know about the cast on party. Help us pick some wool, you know, what we should be using. Also because it feels like such a commitment because they want you to use the same wool for all of the swatches. That's what I'm saying
is like, because there was a part of me that was like, maybe I'll just try different ones. And I was like, no, they have to use the same one.
Yep.
And
did you read, and then your head went back to Chuck.
Yeah.
Read the directions. Read the directions.
Chuck, follow the details. Read the directions. Do what they tell you to do. Don't try to get fancy, lady.
Yeah.
Don't get crazy.
But hey, we're really doing this.
Yeah.
Feels good. How does it feel?
It does. I'm not going to lie, for one brief second when they emailed the packet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was like.
So it's like 4 or 5 files, right?
It's 2.
Two. Oh, 2. It's just 2. Okay, yeah.
But like I had a moment where I was like I had a little intake of breath. I was like, I'm really doing this. But
That's exciting.
Then I was like, okay.
How do you eat a bear, Les? Do you know how to eat a bear?
With honey?
One bite at a time.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I don't.
One bite at a time.
Isn't that illegal?
Probably. Yeah. We're not. This show does not advocate any sort of eating of bears. By the way, it's a saying.
My favorite among them being Paddington.
Oh yeah. Are you gonna go see the new movie?
Is there a new movie?
Mm-hmm. Oh. Yeah, he's going to like I think South America maybe.
He would.
Okay. Well, see if you can help us with that, and we're excited to have you. Thank you so much to everybody that's been commenting and liking and sharing our videos. We're starting to really carve out a little corner of the internet here for ourselves. So thanks. Please keep doing it.
Go with us on this journey.
Yeah.
We need you.
We need each other, right?
Yes. That's what we have. So.
Great. Well, that's all for this week. We'll see you next time.
And if you want more behind the scenes footage, our bloopers, weird photos of us, find us on Instagram at Gauge for Glory.
Bye-bye.